Up to this point in the school year in Algebra 2, we've learned about a number of different functions that are involved in mathematics. In the next handful of lessons, we're really going to pay attention to the relationships that can occur between the different functions and see how they all kind of work together. This first lesson is a pretty straightforward lesson in combining functions. We're going to simply do function operations, so adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, functions of different types. Again, whenever we continue our conversation about functions, if you remember from the beginning of the school year, we were always having conversations about the domain and the range of the given functions, and we will kind of continue that here. Now, our main focus for this lesson will be strictly on the domain of the given functions, and not so much on the range. And so, if you take a look here as we start, we have some notation going on in our key concept box as far as how to add, subtract, multiply, or divide functions. Now, if you look, I want you to pay attention to the different types, because MathXL, Standardized Test, My Notes, various places will write these function operations a little differently. So if you look at the addition, you can see f plus g of x means the same thing as f of x plus g of x. Now, generally speaking, I tend to write it in the manner which you see on the right side. However, I do want you to be familiar with the left side notation. So just make a mental note of what's in that key concept box there. Now, there is a very important note at the bottom of that referring to the domains, and it basically says the domain of the new function after combining them together through a specific operation has to be a combination of the domains for both f and function g. So keep that in mind. Now, the simple way to do this is to go ahead and do the function operation, identify the new function, and then come up with a domain based off of your knowledge of that function type. So let's take a look at sample problem number 1. So what I'll do here, sample problem number 1, part A, ask us to do a couple things. They ask us to add f of x to g of x, and they ask us to subtract f of x and g of x from f of x. And then ask what the domain is for each of these. So if you want to give this a shot on your own based off what you saw in the function, in the key concept box, you're more than welcome to. I'll work part A, and then you can just follow me as an example there, and then you can work part B on your own. So I'll go ahead and get this started. We'll start with f of x plus g of x. Now, simply as it is, this is just a big substitution problem. So I'm going to actually replace f of x with the given function, and then I'll replace g of x with its given function, and then I'm going to go ahead and combine all of the like terms, which is going to leave me 2x squared plus x plus 5. And so this is our new function. Now, we were asked to find the domain of that function. So the domain of a quadratic, and if you remember quadratics from earlier in the year, the domain of quadratics is all real numbers. And so that's how we would just do a simple addition for function operations and then come up with the domain. Alright, now I'll do the subtraction part. So again, f of x minus g of x. Now this is a little bit different from the standpoint of you can't simply just replace g of x. You have to make sure that you put that in parentheses because we're subtracting the entire function, and you have to distribute the negative before you can combine like terms. Okay, and you can see there our new composite function. Again, we're dealing with a quadratic, So our domain for the second part here is all real numbers. Alright, so feel free to go ahead and do part B on your own, give it a shot, and then come back and watch the solution. This time we want to multiply f of x times g of x. So I'll go ahead and just replace the given parts with of the function. And then we'll simply FOIL here. And as you can see, there are no terms to combine, so that is our finished function operation. And so our domain, you can see here, our domain is a cubic, and we know the domain of cubic functions is all real numbers. Alright, now let's take a look at the quotient. So we're going f of x divided by g of x. So f of x divided by g of x is going to give us x squared minus 9 over x plus 3, which is going to factor into x plus 3, x minus 3, all over x plus 3. Now, here's the thing. The x plus 3's are going to cancel out. So the result of the function operation is just simply x minus 3. However, our domain is all real numbers except x cannot equal to negative 3, because if x equal to negative 3, negative 3 plus 3 in the original quotient function would actually give us a 0. And if you recall, if you look back to your your key concept box, we see that g of x cannot equal to 0. So it's all real numbers except x equals to negative 3. Now, in the next lesson, when we get into rational functions, which is what a quotient function is, it's a rational function, we will learn that x equals negative 3 is what we call an excluded value, or a removable value in this case. So a good little lead in into the next unit. So that's a good basic start on function operations.